Go. And welcome back to another two-part episode of the New Generation Challenge podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Brett Parnell.
And my name is Titi Fernandez.
And Titi, we're back to do episode 4 and 5 today.
Yeah, I was coming back to college last week, so I had a kind of a busy week, and unfortunately was not even able to watch the episode until like last weekend. So I'm glad that we get to come back here and touch on episode 4 and also do a review of episode 5.
Yeah, same. As much as episode 4 was a little while ago, it's great that we're both back here, and there was no way you and I were going to pass up that elimination from being part of this show.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get started at Naya's disqualification and America coming back to the house. The kind of reaction, I guess, where episode 4 starts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a little bit, so you'll have to remind me of some stuff if I forget, and I'll do the same.
Sure.
We talked about how it was very to see Naya leaving,
Yeah.
and also America by default, and so she was not the hangnail instead of, or like she would have been, or
Well, it would have
never mind.
depended who would
She
have
would
won.
have, yeah, been the other, whoever. Yeah, it was kind of interesting to see kind of that reaction. She honestly got pretty lucky.
Yeah, she did, especially not only, and we discussed this last time, but getting points out of that as in addition to winning. Now, we obviously don't know yet what these points are actually going to be. Could they be? At this point, I'm personally expecting them to be about as powerful as fire tokens were in Survivor 40, but I might be totally off with that, and it could make or break the final, like we saw in the Challenge 40.
Yeah, my guess is maybe it has something with the final, like the karma, the vote, but like I guess in a more fair way you would say, because he earned their points and they weren't given to them. I don't know. It'll be interesting what they end up doing for that, but
It will be to know what they're doing, especially now we're seeing some more players actually starting to pick up points that we're getting later into the season, and maybe players who I was looking just at the numbers before we got on, and it's like in the first 3 episodes, Adrienne had 0, and now she has 14. She came second 2 weeks in a row. So, just
yeah, and
one
it'll be
example, but
interesting.
there's a lot of movement in the table.
And it is because it does give you an incentive to win the challenge, like the dailies, because a lot of times, especially on Ride or Die, Devin pretty much admitted to it in that they were not in the challenges because there's no incentive to or anything. It was just the challenge is done. They won, you know?
Exactly. All right. So then we cut to Johnny, and we start to see that there seems to almost in most challenges be 3 or 2 tiers that we have, like vet players thinking of themselves as superior than rookie players. Now in this season, we're kind of seeing a group of vet players, a group of rookie players, and Bananas thinks he's better than everybody else.
Yeah, and I think it's also after his tangent that he on of I am the challenge, that and the other, it probably rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Even like someone like CT we learned because yes, Johnny, you're a part of the show, but it's not, it is kind of very cocky for you to assume that it's all about you and that nobody else matters and the only reason everybody's here is because I this. So I understand it starts to rub people the wrong way. I would absolutely feel the same.
Yeah, absolutely, especially coming from someone like CT, who has probably equal as claim to being the face of the male challenge as Johnny.
And
But
CT was the GOAT before Jordan. So
yeah,
Johnny, you're not even second anymore. You're third.
Johnny was always the biggest character in the show who also is winning, which you don't normally get on reality TV.
But so like CT like was scary back in the day. He like
Well, got thrown out for it.
Many times, and he like rubbed somebody's face on, or like smeared face and like smeared it almost on concrete.
Oh,
He was a scary, even though maybe Johnny likes to make the most jokes, like CT is a big character and a big part of the show as well.
Very true. All right, so we get into the daily, which in this case is a combination of a maze and Sudoku challenge. The thing that I didn't actually realize until preparing for this was that it wasn't random. The further you went into the center of the maze, the easier the puzzle got.
Yeah. I took a screenshot of the hard puzzle, one of the hard ones, and I got it done in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
I'm a big Sudoku person.
I was gonna say, I look at this and I just sit there and go, what do I do? But at the same time, I was like, if I went on the challenge, I would read a book on it, seeing that these puzzles come up in about every single season.
Yeah, it's also like one of the almost like remember seasons in order. Like it's something, if you're gonna challenge, that's one of the things you have to know how to do. And we even see vets coming in and are like, I don't know how to do Sudoku, this, that, and the other. And it's like,
so predictable at this
how
point.
many seasons? And I mean, I'm just a person puzzle like every New York games I always do. I do the Sudoku, the Wordles, all those I always do. And the of difficulty for the hard was not at all. I think it's easier than some of the easy times.
And to our audience, that's why she is in medical school. Because some people find looking at airplane tickets just difficult, and that to me is what I do for a living. So,
but see, like, it stresses me out anytime I'm looking for flights and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm very particular about my flights. Like, I don't like. Some people will just like just book a flight and they're like, oh, didn't pick my seat. Like, figure it out when we get there. No, like,
see, that's me.
And I have like a status in United Airlines. Like, I like to do things the right way, but
nice.
It still stresses me out. Doku, we see Bananas and America are having a very hard time. America said, I know how to do so. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do that. Bananas was like, okay, like if you know how to do it, go ahead. And I think he said on his podcast, I don't even know but he was saying that it's not that he doesn't know how to do them, he's just not the best. And the way that America was reacting was that she was just a brainiac expert on Sudoku.
Yeah. It almost reminded me of back to Survivor Game Changers when Debbie thought she knew how to do everything and then failed miserably in the challenge, and her whole tribe is like, I thought you told us that you were a former gymnast and knew how to do a balance beam.
It's very, I don't know. And I heard, I think it was on his podcast, but he basically said that he kept saying, and we saw this, just start it over again, because Sudoku is one of those things where if you have something wrong, there's no way to tell what you have wrong.
Yeah.
Unless restart, because one digit, that depends. Getting the correct digits depends if you're going to be able to get the other ones to solve the puzzle. And she was like, no, it's fine, like this, that, and the other. And right when she was saying that, I knew that it was going downhill because, again, as somebody that is pretty good at Sudokus, I know that there's absolutely no way for you to solve that.
Nice. So we see Ben and Michaela win, Bananas and America lose, as we kind of already hinted at. So therefore, Bananas is going to go right into elimination for coming last. I had to laugh here when before TJ can even say the result of the loser, Bananas is ducking down and hiding behind the other contestants.
Yeah, he was pretty by that loss, and I honestly don't blame him because he is known as that continuously on every season, even like into his 40s, very good at dailies. He is very like there's really no scenario where Bananas does on a daily. So
That's it.
this was interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and then when we get to the vote, we see that it is a unanimous vote for Gabe. I think a lot of this goes back to the fact not only that Gabe is just a physical beast who probably is one of the few players that has a good shot against Johnny, and that had to go into it too, but it also has a lot to do with the fact that Gabe completely disrespected Naya, who as his partner, when Naya is a very top tier player in this game across the whole franchise. That Gabe probably just didn't know even what her record was.
Yeah, and I was glad to see that. I don't like when, and unless you're somebody that's like not good at anything or whatever, like if somebody was like, "Oh, I'm worried about in an endurance competition," that's. But Naya is somebody that well respected and very well liked, so I do like how they were kind of standing on business there and were not judging on making sure that she gets or that they're gonna vote her partner in after he was downing her.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so we end up playing a brand new challenge called Hold Him Back. I thought this was great to watch. We've seen, I guess, other challenges that have a variation of different ropes, but nothing where you were cut off from what was going on the other side of the wall and really couldn't tell. So that was a well done by production to really design this. You effectively have three ropes, and players can, by carabiner, connect and disconnect themselves at any time. The point is that you have to get three large discs into three containers at the end. If the player behind the wall is not grabbing onto the rope that you're on, you can basically just take it all the way to the end, no problem. Once they see the rope moving, they have to quickly shift into trying to stop you. And with, like we said before, Gabe's background in wrestling and in rugby, even for a player of his stature in physical eliminations like Bananas, this wasn't even competitive.
Yeah, I will say I expected Bananas to do a lot worse than what we saw. I think, again, it was really impossible for him to ever win something like this
Yeah.
against someone like Gabe. Um, but
And
I
I mean,
think he
there's
did.
plenty of people in this house that Bananas probably would have been in the exact same position as Gabe was in, just completely destroying. It's just he got the wrong opponent for the wrong challenge.
Yeah, and that's just how elimination is sometimes.
That's it.
No way to predict it. But again, also shout out to production for these dailies and the eliminations. I, you can put in a lot of thought and a lot of time, and I've just really enjoyed seeing them. Um, and we'll talk about that a little bit later because there's a couple things I want to say about the next elimination. But yeah, I like the maze of the Sudoku, and this elimination was also very interesting and something that we haven't seen before. So I really liked that, and yeah, it was pretty much a given that Gabe was gonna win. But I'm glad that Bananas didn't exactly give up and was at least trying to do something. Um,
Yeah,
because I feel
absolutely.
like a lot of people would be like, okay, drag me out, I'm done.
Okay, so who is your male and female players of the week?
So for player of the week, I had for my male, I had Ben. He won the daily,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, with Michaela. So I was kind of trying to think back on that. But he kind of showed in a it's not like so a good partner to have some things because I at him like, okay, what can this guy do? You know? And it was interesting to see how well he did on that Sudoku with Michaela.
yeah, absolutely. He did very well. And I, for my male, had Gabe. Um, I mean, yes, that elimination was just built for him, but if the point was we're going to throw Gabe in because he needs to prove he deserves to be in this house, taking down Johnny was exactly what you need to do to prove you belong in the challenge.
Exactly. And I agree with that because he was coming in kind of not expected,
Yeah.
just the way he was reacting. So he was also able to show that comes down to it, he's able to perform.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, female?
I had Michaela.
Oh, nice. So did I.
It was the same sentence or the same reasoning because she's doing very well on the dailies.
Yeah, makes sense. She certainly is. I guess the other reason too that I went with her here is that in this like Sudoku type challenge, I mean, I guess she's done well in the challenge to an extent, but like how many times in Survivor did we see Michaela just getting totally frustrated with puzzles and therefore frustrated with Jeff's commentary on Michaela doing puzzles? So the fact that she's winning a challenge like Sudoku, when I would expect Michaela to dominate the women in a physical challenge, sets her up to be an all around threat in this game.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that she did some work on her areas that maybe weren't as strong, and she's just performing very well. You can say what you want about her politics, things I don't necessarily agree with her doing. At the end of the day, she's doing very well.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
For
What
my
about you, male player loser of the week?
I had bananas because of
Yeah,
how cocky he was being. You
same.
probably have it for the same reason.
Yeah,
Cocky, arrogant, and he got sent into elimination. Karma got him. He got last and he went home.
that is exactly what I was about to say. What about you, female?
I had America
Mm,
because um so she was saved by grace of God with Naya not
yeah,
even being able to do an elimination. And she was received points for that, but then not only she comes back and getting last in a challenge, taking the lead on something that like if you don't know how to do something, don't say I got it, especially when you're a vet like Bananas that even though Midoku is not his strong suit, he knows how to do some things. And just kind of her arrogance of no, I got it, I got it, I got it. I think Banana kind of pushed harder. Let me do it. Like I'm taking the lead here because clearly what you're doing is not working.
yeah, that makes sense. Certainly a good pick. I went with Aviv in this situation, and it's really nothing that Aviv necessarily did wrong that made me pick her, but just the fact that as opposed to anybody here, I feel like her game is the most tied to Johnny's, and even more tied than Dee's is to Johnny, since Dee's a new threat and not a veteran. I kind of think coming in that it might have been a bit of a mistake on Aviv's part to be thinking in the season 40 mind in season 41 when she should have looked at the mat and said, okay, we're in the first daily. Rachel is not here. Jenny is not here. Laurel is not here. I need to do something different. And I don't really think she did. So it'll be interesting to see if she starts to play a different game, maybe with some of these new players. I know we've seen Aviv hanging out with Sydney and Dee in Miami after the season. Maybe if she starts to work with those girls closer and puts Johnny behind her now that he's out of the game.
Yeah, I agree with that pick. I didn't even think of it like that, but I also think Aviv is somebody um I admire her loyalty because we know that her and Bananas are very good friends outside of the show. So I admire her loyalty in coming to the game and still having like her friends back because we know a lot of people don't do that.
On podcast, just 2 seconds.
Oh, you're fine. But I agree with that because I think Aviv is somebody who's very well liked and her positioning with Bananas kind of her game. Um, just because he's not liked, and I would see how she would be kind of on her own. So I'm excited she continues.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that interruption.
Oh, no
Um,
worries.
we have an aquarium in the room right here. That's my dad's.
Oh,
And he went to the pet store while we were recording and bought new fish that he needed to plop in.
oh, interesting.
And now I need to get my camera back in the right spot. There we go.
But moving on, to episode 5. Um, again, Johnny left, and on the we get an interesting conversation Olivia kind of brought talking about what what's next, because Johnny is an easy person to kind of all onto and be like, I don't want this guy here. Like vote him in, vote him in, vote him in, because he's so dramatic and gives people reasons to not like him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, who is public enemy number one now? You know?
And this was interesting that Olivia would say that, because I think everybody kind of sees Olivia as the queen of 41 at this point.
Oh, absolutely. Um, but speaking of, as we see, Dee kind of has his funeral. She brings her bra and a candle and like a toe sign or something like that. I don't know.
This
What did
was
you think about that?
hilarious because I've been saying all along that I didn't think that I thought that D was just using Johnny for a game, and knowing his spot in the challenge is so revered that if she could be an ally with him in one way or another, that she would go for it. And I think this proves it, that there was no actual romantic relationship between D and Johnny. There was just D politicking. And if um, it's helping her fit in with the vets, so well played.
See, not only that, because I do know that they were like they hung out before the show
Oh,
once.
did
Like
they?
maybe she came, well, not in like strategized prior, like
I
she
didn't
came to
even
one
know
of his
that.
boxing events or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, but
I guess that makes
I
sense. His
think
gym is in Boca Raton, I think, and she's in Miami, so that's
so.
pretty
What
close
I
together.
think, because Johnny's always talking about how the showmanship and I'm not only there to play, like I TV this, that, and the other. So maybe like he also got in her head and was like, oh, like, I mean, I'm sure they find each other attractive or whatever,
Yeah,
but just kind of got, like, kind of told her the tips of, like, if you want to be asked back, you need to, a, make a difference to the point where I find you entertaining, you know?
yeah.
So, I don't know.
But I
Um,
think Dee's put that behind her and is just gonna keep playing the season. I don't. What I was at least comparing this to is, I don't know if you're paying attention to Big Brother at all, but I was
no.
like, there's a clear difference for the audience that is between, say, Dee watching Bananas go home and Catherine watching Riley go home. Who you can tell now, Catherine in Big Brother is very upset that her showmance is out of the house. Dee, on the
Yeah,
other hand, was just ready to keep going with the game and would become a challenge champion in her first season.
yeah, you could tell it wasn't very genuine, I guess.
All right, so next we have Cara, who unfortunately decides that she has to leave the house after talking to her aunt. Um, I thought it was really meaningful that Cara, for right after she gets this news, immediately tells CT, because we've seen CT have his struggle with a loved one being touched by cancer in DM right before our eyes. And Cara and CT have been, from what I've heard, close before their challenge days. Like, Cara
Yes.
worked at a gym that CT visited before applications for the real world, which I guess getting cast on Fresh Meat was just people who didn't get picked from the real world. Because both Cara and Loyal applied to that show first.
Yeah, and I think I've seen CT and Cara have again this very strong friendship, which I just love.
Yeah.
He's always said that it's like her little sister. Um, so I again, like you said, with that she chose CT to be the first person to tell, and um, I think CT like, you want me to come with you or something like that? He's like, I've done it before because we know that he did leave with DM during that season. So yeah, I this was very touching. I'm glad she got to spend more time with her mother before she unfortunately passed away.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, we're just gonna keep
And
prayers.
with that, when we get to the daily, because Cara has unfortunately had to leave the game, Jonna, two-time All-Stars winner, has entered the game.
Yeah, this was
That was a
I
surprise.
was definitely not expecting that. But it does make sense that they did do that. We've had two veterans be DQ'd, not like get out in elimination, which they probably both would have won if they had to go in.
Yeah.
Brought in another heavy hitter. And we'll have to see what she does. She became a partner.
So, what did you think about this, Daly? We're in a situation where the players have to dig up 3 poles, carry 3 heavy poles across the playing field, and then assemble a field goal goalpost and then kick a field goal in order to win. I think that might be why Jonna was brought into, because you just can't ask Leo to carry these poles by himself.
Yeah, this daily looked very hard. Because not only again you have to dig things up, you have to replant them, re-put like the dirt on them. Um, so it definitely looks like something that was very hard. But again, I think it was very original. I know that they were promoting the Him movie or something like
Yeah.
that. I don't really remember. Um, so yeah, I like the daily challenging, and there was a few different that we saw. One and is I think was it D and CT together?
Sydney and CT.
Oh, they said they were digging everything up, then carrying it because they knew that they would get very tired
Yeah,
digging everything up. So that was a good strategy to
it
see.
was. And
Um,
big compliment to Sydney here that I have to throw out because, like I've said every week, I've been advocating on social media for her to be on the challenge ever since she got voted off of Survivor 41. CT says that Sydney could be Rookie of the Year. With the entertainment value we were getting from her, and then that comment coming from him, I was right. There's no other way to put it.
and her performance, not even
Yeah,
just entertainment or anything. We see another thing that I thought was funny. Ashley was making some very strange sounds. And it brought me back to, I don't know if you remember Rivals 3,
yeah,
where they had to like, it's like a big bar of had to
yeah.
like scoot in, and Ashley was making strange sounds during that. So I was like, is like it was deja vu for sure. Um,
I mean, Ashley might be the one player. I love Ashley, but I can hardly ever understand what she's saying, and I understand what the British people are saying. So
it's interesting because I don't understand what the British people say sometimes, and I can
fair.
perfectly understand it.
Probably I'm just have spent enough time in the UK that I understand their different accents, and it tends to
Yes.
be, for those of you who don't know what soccer team I cheer for, the challenge has a big casting out of Liverpool, and Liverpool does not speak like the rest of England. So maybe that's why I get it. Like Jenny and Melissa are both from the same town as the football club I support.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I
I
don't
think
know.
there's a
I
few more too. I'd have to look into it.
The only person who I can't understand is Nicole.
Yeah, about her.
Um, but we see Olivia and Ben. We're off to a pretty good start, but see that Ben is having a very time kicking the football. Um, and obviously we then see it's on her first try. I didn't like after like five that he was kicking that, I'd be like, okay, over, you know?
Yeah,
And I think
I
very
had.
interesting because he's a sports commentator. Like he, even if you are like, even if you talk about a sport a lot, I think that you should know enough to be able to at least kick the ball.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. There's a couple of things I had here. One was that, at least watching what Ben was doing, I think he was trying to kick like a 50-yard field goal and not a 10-yard field goal. And there's a big difference in the two. It's like just follow through it. You don't have to kick it ridiculously hard. Um,
See, the way I was looking at it, it's like even because he said, and I think you had this on there, but that he says I've kicked a real football, not like these
that was
American
Jake.
things. Oh, Jake.
That was where
not
I was
Benji,
gonna
yes.
go next. Is that I couldn't help but laughing because I was mixing up Ben and Jake the whole time. Jake is English, Ben is American, and I was Olivia is saying, "Has my partner never kicked a football before?" And I'm sitting there going, mixing up the two, going, "Your partner is British. Of course, he's never kicked a football before. They don't have those things in his country."
But see, as somebody that's played soccer growing up, and I've kicked footballs before, it's not that different.
No.
Like, it definitely is. It definitely is. But like with the football, you have to get low for it to go up. But it's also like, I don't know. I don't like, I think it was more about not having like probably the strength and then also kind of the coordination to like, you're a soccer player and you have like a penalty or
Yeah,
whatever. Um, you know that it's still, so then you have to like know how to run up on it and also like not lose your motion when you're kicking it and whatever. So I think it was more of like yes, it's a very different thing, but at the same time, like when you're kicking a soccer ball, you're not kicking it in the middle. You're trying
right.
to elevate the air most of
Exactly.
the time. So that was my opinion. I I don't think it's like that big of a difference.
And then
But
at
then
the end of this, Michaela and Jake win the challenge. So Michaela's got her second win in a row.
yeah, she's definitely showing, and I think she did mention like I don't know if it's a good idea that I'm performing this well so early because it could potentially put it back, which I think is interesting.
It could,
Um,
but at the same point, if I am any of these women, I do not want to see Michaela in elimination. So,
yeah, and I agree with that, but it's also like you want to see her in elimination or ask for her, but then other people are gonna say we should vote her in
yeah,
because she's
true.
a big light. So, and kind of a to say, but after we see the rookie males are having a little team meeting, and Anissa kind of crashes the party.
This was funny. Also, one, shout out to the rookies. It's great to see that rookies are actually working together this season and not just accepting that they're going to go home. Two, the fact that Anissa not only does this, but also at the same time in the votes and such seems to be commenting that she's so loyal to Olivia. I'm like, this is amazing to see because ever since Michelle came third, I think there's in 40, there's been a big difference in kind of who that ride or dies and Spies, Lies, and Allies class is really perceived in the challenge. And I'm like, Michelle got her Olivia, some of those other players that are in there too, to really be considered main veterans at a challenge by the Johnnies, the Anissas, the Jordans, the Torys, the Devons. But that's a little bit unfair to put him in there because Michelle and Devin have a different relationship than everybody else.
Yeah, and also like I think for me, vet is somebody that's usually I would say like for me to think of them as a vet, like obviously you're not a rookie if it's your second season, but if you've done more than like 2 seasons, I think that you're pretty much considered, especially somebody like Michelle, so many in a row. Um, like we had her rookie season on Spies and Allies, and then she did Ride or Dies, and then she did USA 2, and then she has done so many seasons in a row,
Absolutely.
and like she's I think especially I think we saw it on USA 2 that between her and Tori get very strong. And we've seen that kind of continue throughout the season. So it'll be when hopefully Michelle comes next season. Olivia, I listened to the podcast and she said like her and Theo still plan on doing the challenge. They were saying probably 40, 43 is when they will come back
Okay, nice.
because it was kind of saying the way that I look at it is up 2 months of whatever, but then the rest of the year you get to spend with you. That's
Yeah.
something I honestly love. I think a lot of parents feel a lot of shame for like, oh, I'm leaving my kids, or they don't want to do the show because of that. And that's a really good way to look at it. It's like,
It
okay,
is, because I mean, if you really think about it, let's say when Olivia's child's born later this year in Theos, they're gonna have more time if they do the challenge once than the average person would who's gonna work an 8 hour day Monday to Friday
yeah,
with
absolutely.
their family.
And you're not having to get daycare. Like, usually your child's going to stay with your family, like parent. They're going to be very well taken. They're going to be very loved. And it's like, so I feel like as a parent, I mean, obviously I'm not a parent, but
Neither am
it
I.
is kind of nice to, I feel like it is kind of nice to be like, I'm going to go do, like, this is their job. I'm going to go do my
Yeah,
job. I'm going to go have fun. I'm going to kind of step out of that parent role. I mean, still obviously getting calls and everything, and then be able to compete, do what they love doing, and then be able to come back and spend like a large majority of the year with their family. And
absolutely. I'm a new uncle. That's more than enough for me when it comes to kids.
yeah, I agree. I'm not a big kid person. I like dogs a lot, but
Nice.
do not hand me a child. I don't know what to do with it. Um, anyways, so we also see, speaking of Olivia, kind of has a little fail in her politics
Yeah.
because she
And I
was
mean,
kind
one small slip up isn't bad. She's played a perfect game up until this point, but it would I even as I'm sure the audience knows, we're both massive Olivia fans. I can't get around the fact that this was a mistake.
yeah, I think the way that she's gonna say, and I understand what she's saying, like, oh, it's not that big of a deal if you're a hangnail, but then at the same time, it's like, then people are gonna be like, oh, okay, then let's make you the hangnail then,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And that's what ended up happening, unfortunately for her. Um, and or it ended up happening, yes, but also ended up having her partner voted in to eliminate.
Yeah.
Deliberation. Derek, we know, is automatically gone because they lost the daily, and um, Michaela and Jake, sorry, I wrote that down wrong, save Leo and Jonna. And Olivia kind of makes a comment which I thought was interesting, like, why are you saving people that are considered safe? Because that's what they were kind of getting her for doing when
Right.
she's, yeah.
Makes sense. And then in elimination, we see this elimination's called Him Collider. It's kind of the movie theme sponsor off of Hall Brawl. Other than I don't know if you remember in Free Agents, it was like the circular Hall Brawl that Loyal won. They're bringing that back this time. Other than that, in order to fit the theme, you have to carry a football while you're doing it. Um,
I
and
want to mention something
go ahead.
quick about this, just the design challenge. This is a way safer way of doing a hall brawl
Yeah,
instead of them running full speed at each other
I,
in a hallway because you cannot run fast in a circle.
right.
You like if you do your fall. So I fully approve of this version of hall brawl because you're not running at somebody at full speed. You're kind of like trying with those shoulder pads to get around the circle, and it's
Exactly.
a like Ben, even though Derek demolished him, fine after. He wasn't concussed, you know?
Yeah, can't agree more.
So I respect this elimination.
Absolutely. So like you said, Derek, despite being automatically in, completely um wins the elimination. Noteworthy that Olivia, and I think this was great of her, but even though it would give her the hangnail status and force her to sit out the next elimination, was still cheering for, the next daily, and therefore automatically be up for eligible to be voted into elimination. Olivia was still cheering for Derek to win. I mean, Derek is probably Olivia's, I would guess, second closest challenger in her life after Michelle. Well, other than Theo, but again, that's different.
Yeah. I really, really liked that as well. And it wasn't even like a hesitation. Like, not even in the interviews, she said, like, oh, I want Ben to, like, no, she was like, fully, I'm rooting for Derek because friendship goes outside of the.
Yeah,
And yeah, Derek was able to win both rounds by a lot. And it was pretty interesting to see.
it was.
My male player of the week was Derek because he did not do very well in the daily. To like you could see, how much Derek is different from the Derek that we've seen on earlier seasons where he didn't really do very well on elimination rounds and he was ready to go. He was like, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna get what I need to get done. And I thought was very interesting. Um, very well. He win by a lot. So that's my male player of the week.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I know I have another name here, but I'm in on this team notes, but I'm improvising because I think I accidentally just copied and pasted the same name from the last one by complete tech error. But no, Derek absolutely deserves player of the week this week to win that elimination. Even though he struck, his team came last in the daily, he was able to rebound from it and has the political skills with this whole alliance that Olivia is building to, even though it's called the UK Alliance, to be the second Arizonan who is on a path to go very deep into this game. And I mean, after we saw Derek come second in 40, he could easily win 41.
Yeah, he's definitely a whole different challenger than what years ago. For my, I had to go with Michaela. She is just performing so well in the dailies, winning two back to back. And again, it's like that's not any of those girls want to see an elimination. Not only is she very strong, she's very physical. She has great endurance, and she also proved that she's very good with the brain too. So
yeah,
I think she's absolutely killing it, and really showing why she deserves to be there.
absolutely. I went with Adrienne in this place. Rookie player. She is now got her second place in a row. Really kind of adjusting to being in the challenge and is starting in this episode to become one of the major players amongst women in the season that we maybe didn't see earlier.
Yeah, I agree with that too because she's doing a very good job at kind of flying under the radar.
Yeah,
She's not on people's targets, people saying Adrian this, Adrian, but I think she's well enough to the point where aren't going to consider her weak, but at the same time, she's not giving it her absolute maybe strategically. She's not seen as one of the threats, and we
yeah.
heard her name in considerations for voting, so that's a great. For my loser, I had Ben because he went winning the last day to kind of losing. So his performance and kicking the ball. Like if you're going to talk about sports, at least know how to kick the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who did
For my loser, I went with Yomi in this section. Um, Not necessarily anything to do with his physical performance, more so to do with the fact that Yomi, despite being that big male rookie threat, got a ton of votes this week. And it leads me to think maybe his political game isn't as strong as it needs to be if he wants to win the show, despite the fact that everybody is what's the word I'm looking for? That everyone seemed to think of Jeremy as this like big target early and someone to watch out for. If they're all giving him votes now, I mean, we could imagine a physical elimination between Jeremy and Gabe someday in the next few weeks. That would be
that'd
crazy.
be insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pay to see
I
that.
don't think he's as solid as we think based on a half dozen votes this week.
You could definitely tell his work with the politicking.
Yeah.
For my
And that
female,
might just be something to do with Amazing Race players always seem to be a bit less connected in this show than people coming in from other areas.
Yeah. For my female, I went with Olivia because I think the way, like, she was trying to be like, oh, it's okay, like, if just because you're a hangnail, you're going in, and her, even though I'm like, yeah, right, her saying that just kind of automatic her partner in,
Yeah,
because people are like, oh, Olivia, you said it's not a big deal, so let's make you the hangnail. Um, so that's why I had to go with Olivia.
makes
Just kind of
sense.
an error with politicking from her.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I went with Ashley in this spot. Ashley, I don't think had a great episode. She both in confessional and with interacting with other players seemed to be almost like the new bananas, as I put it when I was writing it down, as thinks that now that Johnny's gone, she's got 2 wins. She can be the face of the whole show. And this season doesn't seem to be necessarily working out that way, whereas a lot of seasons do. And I'm not sure how that leaves her if going forward, especially where we almost kind of digressed this week where we started seeing that like Georgia the Jungle Alliance back with Yeremi, Sydney, Dee, and Leka. That was the big American alliance last week, and now they're almost thinking about how do we, now that a few players are gone, take a step back and really get the 4 of us to the end at the expense of somebody like Ashley, who was voting with them, but maybe is an easier player to get rid of than some other players they'd like.
Yeah, that's interesting. And now that you pointed out, I don't think Ashley's a very good season performance wise.
Yeah,
And I also love Ashley, but to me, it's not like she's not performing bad, but she's just not doing as well as we've seen her perform. And she could be somebody that people would like to see an elimination. Sure. So,
yeah, absolutely. All right, so that wraps up another week. Thanks everyone for listening. Titi, do you want to tell us all what you're up to this weekend?
yeah, we have the first Iowa game this weekend. So I'll be going to that on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I'm going to Challenge Mania event. So I'm super excited to see everybody there. Michelle's going to be there, who obviously is my sister. But we're also going to have Devin, Cara, and I think Ryan is also going to be there. So
Yeah,
I'm super excited for that.
you are going to love it. I am so jealous that I didn't know what my schedule was going to be with this new job, because otherwise I would have been joining you.
Yes, that'd be
um,
amazing.
yeah, now that I know I'm off, I've been like kicking myself, going, "Why did I not plan this earlier?" But I had no idea. I'm hoping to make the one in Buffalo later this year with Michelle
Oh, that'd be
Deppin,
so
Tori, and
fun.
Anissa. Buffalo's, I don't even need to fly. I can take a bus there and leave Ottawa and then nighttime and be at the border at like 8 in the morning. So hopefully, if
It's
everything
nice.
works out. Um, but
Yeah, I'm
no,
super excited for that, and I'll have to
next
let you
next
guys
time we're
know.
here, please tell us all about it. We cannot wait to hear your experience. I know I've done it in New York and Atlanta, and great events every time.
Yeah, I've heard so much from you anytime that you've gone, so I'm super excited to be myself. And I'm happy to just drive there too. It's in Chicago, so it'll be a 3.5 hour drive for me, so not too bad.
Nice,
And I'm going with my friend Sam, so I'm super excited for that.
nice. Well, have a great rest of your time. And with that, thanks everyone for listening. Hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you when we're here next time.
Bye.
Bye.